What is up, you beautiful people? Now, if you're like me, you're probably a huge wrestling fan and you probably noticed this. But what was strange is I did a live stream on my main YouTube channel at Ango, which, by the way, is close to 100,000 subscribers. And I was talking about WWE SmackDown and The Rock versus Roman. And a lot of people are missing this, but it's actually in plain sight. The Roman Reigns Rock feud is happening, and WWE is setting that up. Roman Reigns and The Rock, WrestleMania 41, live on Netflix and all of these other different places. Guys, in Vegas, potentially, it's going to be massive. 1 year in the making, the biggest match of all time. Obviously, WWE wants you to know what's happening, and that's what they're doing. Now, The Rock did a concert on Friday Night SmackDown. By the time you're watching this video, the episode aired on March 15th, 2024. And The Rock's promo was very significant because he was talking about Cody and just basically all this bullshit about Cody. And then he specifically says to Cody's mother, "You're welcome." Now, what does that mean? You're welcome for what? You are welcome? Guys, there's a lot of significance within The Rock's promos, and a lot of people are missing it. But when he says you're welcome to Cody's mom, it's because he will ensure that The Rock and Roman does happen. And in order for that to happen, Roman has to drop the belt. Because for The Rock, it's about who sits at the head of the table. It's not about the championship. Cody's finishing the story at WrestleMania. That was just the first example of WWE making it incredibly obvious that that is the plan. But what's even crazier, and what I appreciated so much about WWE making this so obvious, is that they are blatantly telling you that The Rock and Roman not only is happening at WrestleMania 41, but they are blatantly telling you that Roman Reigns will be the babyface. On tonight's episode of SmackDown, commentary referred to The Rock as the final boss. The Rock is the final boss. And I was shocked that as they mentioned that he is the final boss and he now himself is calling himself the final boss, I'm shocked that Roman Reigns wasn't there to respond to this. But don't worry, because next week, Roman Reigns will be face-to-face with Cody Rhodes, which means inevitably Cody Rhodes will probably bring that up to Roman Reigns. At least I hope they do. When did The Rock ever become the final boss? By the way, the final boss has been internet slang for Roman Reigns since he's become the tribal chief. Like, that's our thing on the IWC is like, wow, Roman Reigns, the music and everything about him, he's like the final boss. When did The Rock become the final boss? That was never the situation here. The head of the table has been Roman Reigns' thing. The Rock is calling himself the final boss. Commentary is referring to him as final boss. That's another hint that WWE is clearly making obvious to you. And I was shocked that people on my stream didn't understand this. But the point is actually relatively clear. WWE has made it really, really obvious because they think another year of storytelling with the bloodline is much bigger than Cody's story. They're letting you know ahead of time that Cody's story is a big deal, but it is not the big deal. And that's okay. It doesn't need to be. The point of Cody winning the WWE Championship was not Cody defeating the Bloodline. It was Cody winning the belt and then beating Roman Reigns. He doesn't have to end the Bloodline storyline. The Bloodline story is hot. You keep it going. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the way I look at this is that WWE wants you to know that Cody winning the story or whatever, like him winning and finishing the story is just another part of the plan, but there's something larger. I don't feel like they care about spoiling that, by the way. Like, I don't care how people look at this. I think WWE is blatantly putting these signs out there publicly and making it as noticeable as possible because what is yet to come will be far bigger and larger, and that's when they're going to try to throw you off with the unexpected surprises. This is how WWE keeps you in a cycle to keep watching. They feed you what you want, but then they hit you out of nowhere with a surprise. And I think that right there is going to be that's going to be some really incredible stuff. I genuinely believe it. And I think the cool thing for us fans with Cody and The Rock and everything that's happening there is that you still have Solo Sikoa, Jimmy and Jay and Paul Heyman and where they stand with everything. You also have to factor in if WWE continues Cody versus Roman, because The Rock probably won't be on TV, right? Factor that in for a second. The Rock and Roman will not be on TV every week for a year to tell the story. So maybe Roman Reigns' babyface turn doesn't even happen right away. There's a lot of ways for them to go about this. It's super exciting. And I genuinely feel like right now in 2024, this is the level of storytelling that WWE was always capable of doing, but they just never, ever figured it out. And in the last 2 years, the Bloodline stuff has been phenomenal stuff, but this is like a whole different level. I literally have people who don't watch wrestling. They see clips of The Rock on Twitter doing a concert, and they text me while it's happening, and they're like, bro, The Rock is so good. Like, that's kind of fire to me. That's kind of impressive. I kind of enjoy the fact that people I know who don't typically like wrestling are seeing this stuff, and it's making them intrigued. And it's funny because every time somebody tells me this, one of my friends who doesn't watch wrestling at all, he doesn't even know, like, he knows I do YouTube, but he doesn't understand, like, what wrestling, the atmosphere is like. He doesn't understand what fans are like. And he literally was telling me, he's like, dude, I see Cody Rhodes, and I see it, like, this guy's amazing. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, you think that's amazing? There's so much more other cool stuff that's happening too. Like, this is great. I'm glad that you're finding interest in it, because here's the thing. When Cody Rhodes finishes a story and Rock and Roman happens, because again, they're throwing it in your face and they're making it obvious to you that it is going to happen. When it does happen, now you got to get excited about the potential stuff with Randy Orton and Cody. Maybe Randy turns heel. You got to get excited about the potential stuff with LA Knight and Logan Paul. You got to get excited about the Final Testament and all of these other things that are happening, because there is so much stuff happening. This is the most stacked I've ever seen WWE programming, and truth be told, the fact that WWE is not even trying to hide things anymore, and they're just blatantly putting it in front of you, and they're giving you these little Easter eggs, it makes it very fun to talk about. It makes it very fun to watch. But also for me as a fan of wrestling, it's really cool to see that the little details matter. It's really cool to see that. And I just realized maybe sometimes I talk too fast. Maybe I say at the end of the day quite often, and I'll work on those things. But I just want you to know that it's my passion speaking. 2024 has been a great year for WWE. And truth be told, I feel like AEW has really stepped up. At the same time, TNA is doing some cool stuff. Even NWA and MLW as well. So for my friends who don't watch wrestling, but they tune in and see The Rock, and they see Cody, and they see these storylines being played, maybe they're not catching the obvious, but I am. And I'm just here to tell y'all, we're in for a wild ride. Crazy.